You're watching the Matt to Matt Show, where we talk about...
Quiet,
Excuse me.
Exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Where we talk about everything that's important to you. From science and technology to pop culture and social commentary. Featuring your hosts Right Matt, Left Matt, and the disembodied voice of Joe. This is where the conversation begins. Now let's have a chat. Matt to Matt. There we go. Old school on your face. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the Matt to Matt podcast featuring Right Matt and literally right there, the disembodied voice of Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Good evening.
Tonight we're going to be talking about some of the fun things that happened this week in the news and, you know, probably just to us because we have interesting lives that I know you guys are all dying to hear about. So
yeah.
that's gonna happen as well. First of all, top thing on everyone's mind right now. I know. Well, that's why we call him Left Matt.
Something. Oh,
He left. Something that's on everyone's mind right now, I'm sure. My mice catching. How is that door open? How my mouse traps are working. Guess what? I caught two mice in one day, and guess how I did it? Guess which traps I used? Good old-fashioned wood and spring and metal wire traps. Caught two of them. Two of them in one night. Old-fashioned methods are the best. I haven't even tried those. I just assumed that the newer, better ones were newer and better. False. Absolutely false. So, in case you guys were curious, that's how that's going. And they're like 40 cents each. So you don't even have to reuse them, because I'm not gonna. So, yeah. There you go. I'm going to spend like $10 and get like 40 of those. I know that's why they make those. But then why do they make the more expensive, newer ones? To trick you. To make you think it's a good idea. Yeah. So that's hopefully gonna solve that problem. Yep. Fun thing that happened to me today. I have like 3 fallen trees in my yard that I've just been sitting there for almost a year because I didn't have the right equipment. I got an 18-inch chainsaw today. Turned it on. Just when there's a brand new blade chain in a chainsaw, like butter, cutting through like 16-inch logs. Yeah, so that was the highlight of my week. Was finally chopping up these fallen trees. Makes you feel like Tim the Toolman Taylor. Big old chainsaw. So Joe, he's now a, what do you call that? A body without a voice. He's not a disembodied voice. He's a disem-voiced body. I don't know where he went. He's not there right now. So, we're going to be talking a little bit later, about, repealing the First Amendment. I don't know if you guys know, but, there's been a petition going around, of course, to repeal the First Amendment. Let's see. Hey, we ripped a bunch of bushes out this week. Good time for landscaping, I guess. Yeah, it's we have a serious amount of that to do. A lot of vines growing over everything. But priority 1 is to get the pool working again. It's been like 4 years since the pool's even been cleaned out. So, so yeah, next in like a month we'll just be live streaming from the pool, just chilling, making everybody jealous. All right. We're going to be talking about the repeal of free speech because nobody needs high-capacity vocabularies and the ability to insult people so quickly and make them feel small. So you don't need that kind of effective morale-killing machine. But no, seriously, there is people who have been fighting for a while to repeal the First Amendment because they think people shouldn't be allowed to speak as openly as they do. So that's a terrible idea. But we're gonna start off with a classic. We haven't brought one of these up in a while. Data breach. Good old-fashioned data breach. Don't you love a good data breach? This time, Under Armour. How does Under Armour have a data breach? They have an app. Never have an app. All the data is breached. Under Armour discloses breach affecting 150 million MyFitnessPal app users. Now, it's not as bad as other, like the Uber, where people's driver's license numbers, credit card information was leaked. It just says... Under Armour Inc. And it gives you a little stock price in case you want to invest or divest. Said someone improperly accessed data from one of its fitness tracking apps in late February. You know what? Actually, I have to give them credit. February of this year. Usually it takes like a year or at least 6 months for these companies to be like, okay, some data was breached. It's like a month. It's a month later, late February. It's late March. Good on you. Affecting 150 million users on its MyFitnessPal platform. But user data such as emails, usernames, and passwords were exposed, but government-issued identifiers such as Social Security and driver's license numbers, as well as credit card information, weren't compromised. And the Athletic Wear company said. So they've enlisted data security firms and law enforcement to investigate the scope of the breach. Good on you. If you're going to have a data breach... do as early as possible. Just let everybody know, and don't make it a big deal. A bad data breach. It ain't great, but it could be worse. So good for them. Speaking of 150 million, see what I did there? Stunning dinosaur discovery. Experts may have unearthed a baby tyrannosaur fossil in Montana.
I saw that.
In Montana?
No, I didn't. I saw the news article about that. I thought, oh, that's interesting.
Baby tyrannosaur fossil unearthed in Montana, estimated to be about 150 years old. Researchers, let's see, they found...
Did you say 150 or 150 million?
150 million. All right. We're not able to connect to the chat. Hold on. I'm gonna refresh that. Yeah, so they found some hip bones, part of the backbone, the skull... And they assume they're looking at a juvenile Tyrannosaurus Rex. So, yeah. 1 second, I'm gonna fix this. Keep just everybody read the lines, and I'll just not do a job right now.
Do you want me to read them out loud?
No,
While others have suggested they all represent different growth stages. Yeah. Researchers believe their specimen is a young Tyrannosaurus Rex. But are still conducting their analysis just to be sure.
What is Commissar Bear talking about? No probs? They can see all my sick gains. What? I missed something. Oh, ha! Duh! We were just talking about a fitness app. Yeah. Now they have everyone's data, and they're like, dang, Commissar Bear's been killing it on the fitness. You're gonna get like responses from dating profiles being like, so by the way, Commissar Bear, I happen to see your fitness log. Impressive. I'm gonna go to the gym sometime. All right. So there was that. Let's go to a you story, Joe.
Oh, a me story.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we can start out with this one.
Who is Alexis Nicole Pickin? Sorry, I'm just like I'm doxing people on air. Somebody liked my link on Facebook, and I assume it's one of your friends because that's nobody I know or Matt's friends. Oh, yeah. Well, only because like 2 people ever liked my link when I'm like, hey, we're live. So that's why I asked in shock and awe. What were you saying, Joe?
So we got a 3D printed lawnmower robot that can be controlled with a PlayStation joypad.
A what now?
There's a picture of it there. I guess it's also solar powered.
I need my
Yeah, it's
Not
made
gonna
from
ask.
3D printed components. Not PLA plastic, it's ABS plastic, but still, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's featured on Hackaday, and
I'll try and
yeah, I thought that was kind of. I thought the cool touch was it's actually there's the blade there.
I don't know what
It's actually controllable by what?
Sorry. I'm talking to myself. I'm doing math on that.
Oh, yeah, actually can be controlled with a PlayStation controller or a remote control apparently.
So they probably did that so that you can play video games while doing your chores, or vice versa.
Well, I mean,
No, that's
you
the only
maybe
reason.
you can think of like, hey, this is a video game. I'm mowing the lawn. I don't know. No, I just thought it's kind of it's kind of a cool thing. You need something to control it with if it's if it's wireless, if it's
Yeah, well, next year it's going to be VR, and you're
So,
going to just be sitting with
the
a glass on.
lawnmower?
You're gonna think you're like
Yeah.
gonna pretend
or
you're
like a VR riding
lawn.
lawnmower.
exactly. So you
Don't even have to get out of your house.
there's
Just
probably
sit around inside the house and mow the lawn.
there's probably already
No
a game.
sunburn.
There's probably already a game where you like pretend you're just like lawnmower simulator, and you're like, hey, I'm mowing the lawn. I got my controllers, and
Maybe something
it's a zero turn.
produced by
Yes.
John Deere.
Yeah, somebody hacks it, and they're just gonna be like mowing a little lawn wrong. I don't know how you mow your flower beds. That's what it is. They'll just
It's like
mow
an
right through your flower beds.
automated lawnmower fleet for hire.
Oh, that's right. You could just sit at home and be like, whose lawn?
Yeah.
Whose lawn? My drone will drop it off. I'll just have a drone just set it down in your yard, and then I'll mow your lawn and pick it up and fly it away. Nice. Or you could just make it also a drone. Put some propellers on there. I have seen one story that a self-driving car killed a pedestrian. There was a driver in the car who was texting and not paying any attention.
Which car?
It was an Uber. It was a driverless Uber, but there was a backup driver, so there was still someone in the car, but they were not paying attention, which they're supposed to like have your hands on the wheel and your feet on the pedals and be ready to take control if you need to. But from the video I saw, it looked like even a person was likely to hit. Even a real driver paying attention was likely to hit this person because they darted into traffic, or they were. It was not like they veered off the road thinking, turn left here into the mall, and started crashing through people. So it sounds worse than it is.
So
off
basically,
the
someone
bat.
jumped in front of the car.
Inadvertently, yeah. So it wasn't like a suicide or anything. But yeah, automation is freaky. But if you think about it, the idea that
I missed that news.
really that was maybe a week ago.
I mean, I keep seeing news about
cycles are
about
so
automated cars hitting stationary giant fire trucks.
what automated cars hitting stationary giant fire trucks.
Yeah, just because of the way the system is designed, a stationary fire truck will be missed.
Oh, so it thinks there's nothing there. Weird. Another one got pulled over for being too close to a pedestrian. Oh. Gotcha. Yeah, that's... But when you think about it, automated things killing someone occasionally, people don't like the idea, but a lot of people kill people in cars, like, every day.
Yeah, if you're saying if it would reduce the traffic accidents by half, that would be incredible accomplishment. Side thought: I wonder how will they have police officers pull over driverless cars? Will they just be like do they just have like a special gun they point at the car and it just like pulls over?
That is
like,
a good question. Well, right now there are drivers in the car,
Yeah.
so the driver would take over and pull the car to the side. But
Like, do you know why I pulled you over? No, officer, I wasn't driving.
sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Your back light was out or something. I don't know.
Thanks for keep ad blocker on. Of course, I'm going to keep my ad blocker on. There's an estimated. Wait, are we looking at a specific state, or are we looking at everywhere? I'm trying to find the yearly fatal traffic accidents caused. It says 1.3 million deaths in 2017. I don't think that's right. Yeah, U.S. vehicle deaths topped 40,000 in 2017. How do they get that number up there? Yeah, so a lot of people die every day from traffic accidents, but the idea of a machine doing it instead of a person seems more frightening. Let's see. But what if it doesn't and they kill more? I don't know. Hey, did you guys hear?
Something is seriously wrong.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that North Korea and South Korea agree that their leaders are going to hold North and South agree. That's what we're going to call them from now on. They're actually holding a summit on April 27th in the demilitarized zone. They should have done April 1st because then it would have made the negotiations so much better. People would have been like, "No, I'm serious."
And then the satellite comes down.
We will denuclearize. What do they call that? Proliferation? Deliferation? I don't know. What's the opposite of proliferation?
Disarm?
Yeah, disarmament. I was thinking there has to be a word that's the opposite of proliferation, but it's like
Conliferation?
I don't know.
Yeah, but April 1st, it's already nothing's happening on April 1st. You don't need to add one more thing. That satellite should be coming down right about that time.
You know what? As an aside, April Fools has kind of been killed, like, to me. Well, not to me, to everyone. With social media, April Fools isn't a thing anymore because there's so many reminders everywhere. Don't believe anything you hear today. It's April Fools. Like, people used to not realize. They'd be like, oh, I didn't check my calendar today. I didn't realize it was April Fools.
Not
You got
on
me.
social media.
Well, yeah, some
people certain social media
don't
sites
have the
are on
internet,
their way out.
Some people don't celebrate April Fool's Day. Can you imagine
like China.
Can you imagine if there was for a while a town in Montana that was like no one in the entire town had ever heard of April Fools because of the internet? It was just not a thing there. Surely
someone
the case.
moved there.
Surely before they had television. I don't know. What year? This is so stupid. What year do you think April Fools became a thing, and why? April Fool's Day.
Probably happens after the advent of newspapers. I do remember that one famous article about the Swiss spaghetti trees. Have you heard of that?
It's the Swiss spaghetti trees. All right. On this day, let's see, April Fool's story. On this day in 1700, English pranksters began popularizing the annual tradition of April Fool's Day by playing practical jokes on each other. Although the day, also called April Fool's Day, has been celebrated for...
It says All Fools, not April Fools.
All Fools. Well, why would I just breeze through that? Has been celebrated for several centuries by different cultures. Its exact... They missed an apostrophe there. Its exact origins... Possessive.
Exactly. So no apostrophe.
No, possessive. It's without an apostrophe is plural. Possessive is apostrophe.
Plural. You're funny.
Excessive is polite. Stop. I was in a flow. I'm thrown off. I just
threw you off your groove.
I had a groove. I swear.
Dates back to 1582.
Yes, that's where I was trying to get. When France switched from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar, as called for by the Council of Trent in 1563. Of course, this is all information we all know.
Well, I mean that came up in the story of civilization. I'm trying to remember if you mentioned April Fools.
These pranks included having paper fish placed on their backs and being referred to as poisson d'hiver, meaning April fish. Wow. Said to symbolize a young, easy-caught fish and a global person. It's funny. April Fish Day. There you go. On April Fool's Day this year, I'm just going to be like, April Fish Day. You got April fished. Historians have also linked April Fool's Day to festivals such as Hilary. Oh, well, that's where it gets its name, right? Which was celebrated in ancient Rome at the end of March, and involved people dressing up in disguises. That's something you don't see often in April Fools. Disguises. Somebody like showing up at the door in an old Groucho Marx mask with the mustache and the nose and the false glasses and the cigar. I don't even know what you would do with a disguise on April Fool's Day. What would you even try to
Well, I
How
remember.
would you feel
I remember. I
somebody
think.
would-
I think last year on April Fools, I put a bunch of googly eyes on all of the random things at Walmart, like trash cans and above doors. And
I thought you meant like pictures of employees of the month on the wall of the break room, or things like that. So actual merchandise. You were defacing actual
no,
merchandise.
I didn't put it on actual merchandise.
Oh, you said trash cans. It's Walmart, so I was assuming like trash cans that were for sale. Never mind. Put one on the water fountain. Put googly eyes on the little water fountain spigot thing, because that would not be disturbing.
I don't think they have one.
No. But
Oh, they do. They do near the.
Yeah, if
the
they had a
front
water
bathrooms.
fountain, you put googly
I
eyes.
put it
on
on the the
It would be unnerving as
the
you
fitting
lean
room,
down and it's looking.
the fitting room and the restroom doors where it says the sign is like male and female. I put the eyes on the on the
On the
outlines.
people.
Yeah.
And it probably fooled a lot of people into thinking everything had come to life.
No, but it was funny.
Agreed. The chat real quick. I think I missed a bunch of Amor pizzas. Let's see. False mass announcements, engagements, pregnancies, etc. The fun part is when you wait. The only proper way to do it these days is to wait till April 1st and make a real announcement, so that then people are like, wait a second, is that fake? It's probably fake, and then they don't quite know. But if it's always fake, it's not fun. But if it's real, then it's fun because you actually fool people into thinking that it's a joke. It's the only way to get it these days. I thought it was worse because of social media. Yeah, false articles and such. If that's the case, every day is April Fool's Day. You are fake news. April Fool's is like free fake news day. post any fake news you want. Snopes is like, oh, this April Fool's is not. That's probably gonna. I wonder if Snopes is gonna get its most traffic on April Fool's Day. People are like, wait a second.
Probably.
Yeah, Snopes is going to be like confirmed next day.
Oh,
April Fools from Snopes.
They switch all of the trues to falses and all the falses.
Even
to
the old
trues.
stories that just have a little macro that's like, you know what? Everybody, for a day, just think all the wrong things. The snake in an envelope joke to everyone. I don't know what that joke is. Sorry, I must not have been from that town in Montana.
Don't tell them what it is.
Don't tell me what it is. I don't want to know.
We want to show them.
No, don't. You got me with the butterfly in a book last year.
Oh, you remember that?
Of course. Yeah, you're not going to give me again this year. I got you an April Fool's card.
Do you want this
There's a
card?
card for April Fool's Day. You're going to put like a flying fish in it this year. Happy April Fish Day. Yeah. So, guess what? What was that?
Guess what?
I have everything muted. What is dinging at me?
Oh, that was me. I'm sorry.
So here's well, never mind. You're good then. So the Han Solo Star Wars spin-off spiraling towards disaster? Question mark?
Hopefully not.
When it's a
I want it to
question
be
mark,
really
the
good.
answer is always no. If it was like an exclamation point or a period, the answer is yes. All you have to do is like
News.
you put a fake headline out there, but then you put a question mark at the end, and then at the very end you're just like, the answer is no. Is Han Solo Star Wars spinoff spiraling towards disaster? Did Russia hack the election? Or just Russia hacked the election?
Yeah.
Everything you know is a lie? Fans have got a bad feeling about Star Wars puns about the prequel after more reports of onset turmoil. Onset, not onset, onset. But recent history suggests we shouldn't panic yet. I think that was probably the worst actor they could have picked. I've said this before. We know what a young Han looks like, and it's not that. This is like the same age he was in the original movie. His face is too round. His nose is too wide. Just me. Two
Those
clips,
small
rubber band,
details.
envelope.
This is an
Small
advance.
details.
Maybe he got plastic surgery.
Do you remember who they got to play? Well, it wasn't a young version, but you remember who they got to play Indiana Jones' son?
Some random kid.
Some random kid. It was Shia LaBeouf, dude.
What?
Indiana Jones' son was Shia LaBeouf. LaBeouf.
No.
Yeah. It's what made that. It's what made that movie awful. He had a leather jacket. And he was riding around on a motorcycle, and he's like, It turned out to be his son, right? Yeah, it turned out to be his son. Anyway, yeah. Whoever said there's no such thing as bad publicity is clearly not thinking about the Death Star-sized pulse of negative buzz that has hit Solo's Star Wars story over the past year. There was a firing of the Lego movie directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, followed by the replacement of the Hollywood veteran Ron Howard. I said this before. Why would they replace them with Ron Howard if they could get him? Why didn't they start with him? If you can get Ron Howard to do your movie after it's already wrecked, and they're like, please pull this out of the gutter we put it in. It's like, hey, Ron Howard, can you take me to the mall? By the way, I drove my car into a ditch. So can you pull my car to the ditch and then drive me to the mall? And Ron Howard's like, oh, okay, since it's in a ditch, I'll help out. Maybe he owed someone a favor. I don't know. Yeah, then there was the lukewarm reaction to the, no pun intended, to the first trailer for it's not, I'm not terribly optimistic. You can hold out hope, no pun intended, but I'm not terribly excited. And I've said this previously. They're doing the same thing they did with the Marvel movies, where they just let's crank out as many as they can. What's up?
No, I'm hung up on the question mark versus exclamation point.
Wait, what? Why?
Thing because you put an exclamation mark on the title of the video of our show. So why not make it a question mark?
Well, because it was stop. It was a quote from people who were like, "Repeal the Second Amendment or the First Amendment."
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
Yeah, that's all right. I was totally on rail. But yeah, I'm not.
I don't know. Maybe they just thought that it was gonna be good with the first thing, and it would be cheaper. Maybe this guy's more expensive, and they're like, well, we cannot disappoint with this movie. There are gonna be so many. We don't want this to be another Star Wars holiday special.
Yeah, I don't. They're cranking out too many. You know, it's been what year did
I'm not complaining. You can throw as much Star Wars at me as you want. Just make it good.
No, you can't have your favorite meal for every meal, or you don't like it anymore, and you're gonna go looking for other meals. It's not good. I don't.
Well, I mean, no one's forcing you to watch it when it comes out. You can wait a year.
When you have to enjoy the movie by waiting a year after it's released to watch it, they're not doing it right. Yeah, The Phantom Menace was almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, and how many people are still complaining about that one?
That's what I'm saying. We had The Phantom Menace. All right, and then that's not the best.
I liked it. Oh, except for Jar.
No. I'm saying that's not the best measure. Let's see. Let's see if I can remember. Clone Wars. No. Revenge of the. Come on. There you go. All right. So 2005. So it's been 13 years at this point since the last ones before these new ones came out. It's a clunky way of saying it, but there was that span of time, a decade or so, with nothing, and then they're just spitting them at us too fast, way too fast. Terrible idea. They're going to start losing money, and people like me are just going to stop watching. And of course, there's a lot of people like me, I'm so sure. And that's going to make a big demographic hit for them. But yeah, so that's a sad thing, not because it's tanking, but because they chose to make it in the first place.
I'll probably keep watching.
I don't want to. We all know I'm gonna go see it opening night with you and Matt, and I'm gonna try and not ruin the movie.
Disappointed.
I'm gonna try not to throw my hands in the air 30 times during the movie. What?
Fold your arms.
Yeah, and fold my arms
the
and
other
shift
way
and kind of do.
Take some big deep breaths and just like let them out.
Yeah, I don't talk during movies, but body language, man. Everyone in the whole theater is like, I can feel you shifting in your chair. We get it. We're all uncomfortable by the Mary Poppins scene too, but we're not broadcasting it physically through the theater. So let us know in the chat, how many of you are excited about this new one. I have yet to hear any positive buzz.
I'm excited.
Except from you, that doesn't count. You're just being.
Well, I like Corellia. I want to see that world. I want to see what it's like. What they come
there
up
are
with.
probably pictures someone took somewhere of Corellia.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, but I want to see it in a movie. Like I want to see this is Han Solo's homeworld.
We all thought we wanted to see Luke Skywalker, and they didn't.
Well, we still did.
Deliver. I know. You'll be disappointed. You'll be like, "This is not my Corellia."
Disappointed. Well, maybe it's just an Inception thing, like where the father says disappointed, but then it's like, no, I was disappointed that you wanted to become like me.
Let's not get off on Inception. In a saddening, semi-bone chilling story. The amount of fan mail the Parkland shooter is receiving is unreal. This is from CNN, Rosa Flores. Apparently, and this happens a lot with crazy people, but apparently this is more than usual. It's an eerie pile of messages to a killer. Postmarked from all over the United States and Europe. They are from women, girls, and grown men. Some are handwritten, others are typed. They are written on college ruled notebook paper and fancy greeting cards with cartoons. Some are stuffed with suggestive photos of women. There's even a handwritten note from a Girl Scout troop in New Jersey, signed by more than a dozen girls. May God forgive you, they wrote. Why? Why do people have to... We talked about not broadcasting the face and name of people like this because they do it for... Often they do it for the notoriety and the fame and going down in history, but then to show all of the praise that this guy gets from this that only makes it more attractive to such creepy people.
People want to see the news.
I know, it's so sad. What was it we were talking about last week? Where I said there's not much news about it, and you were like, maybe they don't want to upset people. Oh, the bomber. It was the guy delivering bombs to everybody, and it's like, maybe we don't want to talk about random packages exploding on porches. Maybe it'll upset people. It's like the news eats that stuff up. So,
you don't want to cause pandemonium. I don't know. Maybe it was just isolated. Maybe Texas is just separate from the rest of the country. I don't know because there's no like agenda to push there. Bomb control. FedEx workers don't make enough. I don't know. That'd be weird though if he got fan mail. Sorry.
Yeah, horribly ironic.
Sorry.
That was an awful thing to say, Joe.
I'm sorry.
How dare you? All right. That's stats from earlier.
Well, if you want to switch,
yeah.
If you want to switch topics,
go.
This is
please,
a really cute, adorable picture.
Here you go. Here's a cleanse the mental palate picture.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you know Pokemon?
It's 3D printed.
That is a
Bulbasaur.
Yeah, Cubone.
I don't know. Oh, that's a Cubone. Of course it is.
Yeah, Cubone mask. Because Cubone wears a mask. And
you sure it's not just his face?
3D print it.
I keep trying to scroll
for your pet. Probably won't make your pet very happy, but
yeah, the dog's sitting there like, can I take this off now?
But it is cute.
Yeah. Hey, as long as it's cute, just upset the dog. That's why people dress them in clothes. We did that with our dog the first year we got her.
How'd that go?
Well, my wife thought it would be cute to get like a Christmas sweater for the dog.
Oh.
She like walked like this the whole time. Not the same way not the same way people do. Not quite like that.
I'd like to imagine that the dog can breathe.
Can it breathe? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think this is a long-term thing. I think this is a prop just for a picture.
No, there's rubber bands that go around the back of the head. It stays on. See that right there?
Well, I mean that's so it can stay on for the 1 second you need to take a picture, and then the dog will probably take it off by itself.
No, I'm sure the dog
Get this thing off of me.
I'm sure the dog's super enthused about that.
Oh, they should have had a bone. That would have been perfect because Marowak, I think now Cubone carries like a little bone around. That would just complete it.
Perfect. They're gonna go to Comic-Con with their dog dressed up like that, and then they're gonna be Ash Ketchum. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Never seen a second of a Pokemon cartoon, but hey.
You've done the song though.
I did. My old band, we had to do the Pokemon theme when Pokemon Go. We played it like 3 times, and then Pokemon Go went from cool to like old news.
Yeah.
And so we had to stop singing it, but
rampant cheating and the cold weather killed it.
Well, that and the fact that it that's what happens with memes that are that big.
Everyone probably ran out of Pokeballs too and didn't feel like.
Well, it wasn't like people lost interest. It became uncool. It was like, oh yeah, I'm playing Pokemon. I'm on that trend, and then it became so popular. It's like, oh, I'm over that trend. Are you still there? Trend. The bigger the trend, the quicker it moves. I'm just saying. Not sure what.
It probably would have lasted longer if it was more interesting.
Constantine. Can he breathe? Not sure. Not sure what you mean by that. Oh, wow. We have 1 watching, according to my page. That's supposed to be me. Yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean, I'm on 2, so maybe that's not accurate.
Probably not. Hopefully not. 1 second. So, it's somewhat hyperbolic. There is a petition that's been going around for years of stupid, crazy people saying that we should repeal the First Amendment because people, hate speech and all that jazz. That's not a large amount of people. And as I was saying to Joe, it's not like they're going to go march on Washington with signs saying repeal the First Amendment, repeal free speech, because, that's what they're doing, is exercising their free speech. That protest would end with the government saying, wish granted, you're all going to jail. Because that's your free speech. So there is, however, a large group of people that protested over the weekend saying gun reform is what they say. They want common sense gun reform. That's what everybody's been talking about. Obviously, common sense gun reform, but a nope, that's not the one. Dang it. There it is. People have been saying for years, those crazy right, yes, fidget spinners died fast. Early 2017 is when those came out. Yeah, like March is when they became popular. Anyway, right-wing nut jobs have been saying for years that the crazy liberals, those Democrats, are just trying to take all of our guns away. And you're crazy if you believe that, because obviously they don't want to take all the guns away, except when they put a 9-year-old girl on stage to say that she has a dream of a gun-free world. And everyone, hundreds of thousands of people, applaud the idea of a gun-free world. Can you think of anything wrong with a gun-free world, Joe? Does that sound like a good thing to you?
That would depend. I mean, we did once upon a time. We had a gun-free world.
What did the world get better when we started having guns?
It was known as the Great Equalizer. Someone observed that even the most pathetic, cowardly weakling could kill and unhorse the bravest, strongest, noblest knight with a gun. So, I mean, there's pros and cons, but I mean, the problem is you can't have a gun-free world anymore. Once the knowledge is out there that these things exist, it doesn't matter how many you take away. There's always going to be someone who can make one.
So logistically, it's not possible, obviously. But if it were, would you want to live in a world where there are no guns? I would not, to answer my own question. Hunting would be a lot more difficult. It's possible. You can kill a bear with a really good broadhead arrow from a bow. But trying to protect your house with a crossbow. Like, people break into your house to rob it, and you're not very big or very strong. Or a sword. Yeah, you gotta swing a sword.
Or a taser.
My wife's at home, and someone's making strange noises downstairs. Go get the sword. Just, it's okay. Call the cops and go get the sword and hide in the closet. Like, no, go get the gun and load it and just shout, I have a loaded gun and I will kill you if you come into view. And then they'll leave, you know? Great equalizer. I don't think a gun-free world is a good idea, even for the let's get rid of all gun deaths idea. I don't want to live in that world. I think we are better off for having firearms. She said, quote, I have a dream that enough is enough, King. What was her name? I missed it. Daughter of Martin Luther King III. King said to cheering applause, this should be a gun-free world, period. So, that I don't know about you, but that's upsetting. That's unsettling to me. There should be a lot of people going, whoa, 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 whoa. That's a bit too far. All right, we get it, but we're not going to endorse that message. But that's what they're putting forward, and I don't see how anyone can argue anymore that we're crazy for thinking that people want to start grabbing guns. They just said it. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm wrong in the chat. That's just one crazy little girl they happen to put on stage in Washington in front of hundreds of thousands of people and everybody on TV putting their cameras on her, where she says, and this is the pernicious, nefarious thing that they do when trotting out a 9-year-old girl to say, this should be a gun-free world, period. Are you going to argue with that 9-year-old girl? Are you going to tell her that no, people need to die because of your precious Second Amendment? If they had, if they had Bernie Sanders go out and say, this should be a gun, I'm not going to try it. This should be a gun-free world.
That's a good start.
Period. Nobody would vote for him. They'd be like, oh, okay, this guy's radical. But when a little girl says it, it sounds like, the children shall lead us because they're so wise and smart. I'm sure she came up with that line and wrote that speech herself. It's just like, how dare you take a little girl, put her on stage, and have her parrot your little political messages that are unconstitutional and anti-American at their core. And so now that's now part of the conversation. It's now legitimate to say that because it's been put out there into the world, It's like, well, why shouldn't we start rounding up handicapped people? They don't have a good life anyway. Can we all agree they're not having a good life? Like, really handicapped people. I mean, like, we round them all up and we just euthanize them the same way we do a dog that's like hurt. Like, as soon as someone starts making that argument and everybody goes, I mean, well, you have a point. That's too far. That's what they call the Overton window. The conversation shifts farther and farther to a certain direction where that is reasonable conversation to have. It is now reasonable conversation. I said a month ago, it was the Florida shooting. A friend of mine said, all right, you know what? I've had it. Take all the guns away. I don't care. Repeal the Second Amendment. Enough is enough. This has gotten out of hand. And somebody I respect who's a smart person, I think is a smart person, and they've had enough, and it's now acceptable. And in fact, in some circles, it is preferential. You get high fives and good on you. Look, you're so woke. You know that there should be no guns in the world. And that's dangerous because then you get...
Your gun does not help that, though.
What's that?
If that's your goal, getting rid of your gun, it does not help make it a no-gun world.
Of course not.
That just takes power out of your hands and puts it in someone else's hands.
It's like all those idiots. It's a bit crass, but it makes a really good point. It's like all those idiots that are like one less and they chop their gun in half and they're like, my gun will never take a life. And it's like, why did you buy that gun? Guns are designed to kill bad people. That's the point of a gun. Did you think it was like did you have it just for target shooting? If that's the case, it's never going to kill a person. It's your gun. I saw a meme where someone said, I turned in my gun to stop gun violence. And the guy said, yeah, I removed my genitals to stop rape. Assuming that you have the tools that people use for evil, that they are evil, is stupid. That is bad logic. That's like I said, a bit crass, but it's a good simile. I own a gun, therefore I'm part of the problem. No, you're not.
Well, I mean, unless you actually do have a problem, then you should give up your gun. But
Owning a gun in and of itself does not make you part of the problem.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you don't feel comfortable owning a gun, don't own a gun. I am all for people who do not want to have a firearm in their house. Don't have it in your house. But don't come over and tell me that I shouldn't have mine. So, like I said, people marching on Washington saying, "Take our guns away." Did they not remember who's in the White House? Did they not know who they would be turning their guns into? According to them, Hitler. That over the last like 2 years, it's been like Trump is Hitler. Trump is Hitler. This is fascism. This is fascism. By the way, take all our guns. And no one accepts when you start drawing comparisons to Nazi Germany and, well, they turned in all their guns and that's why they were, that's why they all went into concentration camps. That's not an argument that holds any water for me anyway. The idea is, if you think he's a bad person, why would you hand him all of your weapons? That's just stupid. So, sorry. Last part of my rant. We've been avoiding this subject for like a month because I just rather keep it all bottled up inside and just
have it explode.
Just have it explode out at the end of an episode after I've heard all my idiots say, "Repeal the Second Amendment. I don't care." I'm pretty anti-gun. So from my perspective, it seems like these things are said. Wait a second. I can't see the bottom of that.
You want me to read it to you?
These are said out of frustration. Nobody wants to work together for a Whoa, that's the wrong picture.
Screenception.
There we go. Nobody wants to work together for a compromise. Yes, but at the same time, a certain degree of this is an Uber car killing a pedestrian. It's been a fact of life since guns were made that bad people kill good people with guns. And the best way to stop that is for good people to have guns. If you think that's a bad argument, why do you call the police? Why do you ever call the police? They show up with guns to take care of people who are trying to harm you, or at that point, already have. So if you'd rather wait 8 to 10 minutes, which is the national average response time for police, for someone to bring a gun into the situation and protect you, why not just do that yourself? If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. But there's certainly a logical explanation as to why. The British call the police, and then the police, 6 of them, surround a guy with a knife and run from him as he chases them around. Have you seen that video?
No.
A guy with a knife is chasing bobbies in Great Britain because they all have their batons out, and he runs at them with a knife, and they're all just like, "Oh, don't get me, don't get me," and he's chasing them around their own cars. That's not proper policing with a knife, a kitchen knife. Imagine if he had a gun. They do have armed British police. They're just like, their SWATs carry guns, their bobbies don't. Britain's a completely different culture. Everybody in Britain's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, excuse me. No, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize anyone was home. I was going to rob you and steal your taps." Yeah, that's an
accurate
picture. Perfectly accurate depiction of Great Britain. Yes, that's my point. People are saying this out of frustration because people are trying to frustrate them. My point is, when an automated car kills someone, it's a big deal. There would not have been a headline saying, "Pedestrian killed by careless driver." A pedestrian was killed somewhere in the country today by a careless driver. That happens every day. It's not great. It's sad. We want to minimize that as much as possible. But hey, if you want automobile deaths to stop using automobiles. There is no logical reason 40,000 people should die every year because we want to get to Walmart faster. Seriously, there's no reason we should drive above 30 miles an hour. Did you know that under 30 miles an hour, the chances of a pedestrian being struck by a car traveling less than 30 miles an hour, the chance of them dying is very, very slim. Above 45, the chances are more like 90-10 the other direction. What are you doing math? Don't do math.
Oh,
sorry. I had that up because I was trying to read the bottom of the chat.
I actually forgot about that.
But people who would no, everybody gets this quote wrong, and I'm not going to. I heard like 3 different people bring this up today, and they said it wrong. They're like, George Washington said, if you'll give up your liberty to be safe, then you won't be safe. That's not
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, he said Washington, so I'm like, Ben Franklin. Liberty. Liberty and safety. Liberty versus security. NPR.
Ends with deserves neither.
Yes, that's what it says. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. So, if you can explain to me why anyone needs a car that goes at a speed that will kill someone and results in more deaths a year than firearms because of convenience. All right. Ambulances only. Streets are for ambulances, and we have feeder roads country roads off to the side for the horses and the carts, and 40,000 lives are saved every year. Good on us. So, and that's not to mention, I bring this up every time, that's not to mention the 80,000 deaths a year from alcohol, which again, it's for fun. 80,000 people die a year from causes related to fun. So that's the bee that gets in my bonnet. People complaining, oh, you have your little right to protect yourself. Yeah, there's actually an argument for that. I'd like to protect myself. You know, even if the person doesn't have a gun. If I do, it'll de-escalate the situation really quickly. If I or a member of my family has a weapon when someone is trying to harm them. And I think that's a much more valid excuse for the 9,000 to 11,000 deaths a year from gun violence that are not suicide related. Much more valid than I need to get to the Quickie Mart quicker. It's part of life, but when something very seriously tragic happens, suddenly it upends the whole system that, you know, built on the Second Amendment. Which, hey, if you get rid of the Second Amendment, the First is coming really close behind. Let me read these chats, and then we're out of time. I have a new mouse that doesn't have a back button on it, and so my navigating around is greatly slowed.
First world problems.
First world problems. Thanks.
My mouse doesn't have a back button on it.
All right. Batman. I probably missed a bunch of pertinent points. So what is your compromise? I feel like you're just adding the frustration instead of contributing to a solution. I don't think self-driving cars are a good solution, just like shoving more guns into society isn't a solution. Not everyone that is as awesome as you, Batman. There's a good question, though. Is there a compromise or a win-win-win situation here? Absolutely. I think background checks should be a thing, which they already are. I think people who have committed felonies should not own a firearm. That's already a law. I think fully automatic firearms should be banned. They already are. I think we have a lot of really good restrictions on guns, but some people still die every year. A quarter of the amount that die from traffic accidents die from guns. Way more lives are saved from guns being in the hands of civilians who either protect themselves or de-escalate a situation. Believe it or not, a gun can de-escalate a situation really quickly. Years ago, there used to be stories in the news all the time, and I don't know if they just don't happen anymore or if nobody reports on them anymore. 12-year-old girl has two men bust into her house. She gets her dad's shotgun and kills them both in her living room. That's a very different story if she doesn't own a gun. A very, very different headline. I would much rather my children know how to use a gun and have one than be home alone at 12 and be subject to whoever wants to enter the home. So that's my opinion. I think cost, benefit, there's so much to go into as far as the Florida situation goes, of so many failures on so many other sides. I don't know if we talked about it, the 40-something times that this kid had to run in with the police. He threatened somebody by putting a gun to the head of someone living in his home, but the school didn't want to turn him in or arrest him or give him a record because that record reflected poorly on the school, and the school doesn't get as much money for their law enforcement in the township if they go above a certain amount of arrests. So instead of arrests, they do some under the table, behind the scenes punishment for people. So what happens? They don't end up with a record. They pass a background check, which is required to purchase a firearm, and to try and get their score looking better for less arrests, they allowed a crazy person who had 40-something run-ins with the police and threatened someone with a firearm and discharged their firearm in their suburban neighborhood several times, was able to buy and keep a gun because they wanted their numbers to look better. That has a lot less to do about our system of gun purchasing as it does a failure on the part of law enforcement in that area. So that's not even to mention the FBI calls where someone literally said, have you heard the audio? Someone literally saying, this young man is going to be a school shooter. Stop him, take his guns, look into it. Something has to happen. I don't know if, and like I said, there's a lot of nuance to this issue. We can talk about mental health and to what degree the law should be able to intercede. Trump himself said that maybe we can, with probable cause, can remove the firearms from someone's home while we process the... Whoops. That was wrong. While we process... This one has a number pad on it. I'm not used to that. While we process the warrant to take their firearms, we take them, and then we have 72 hours to prove they don't deserve them, otherwise they get them back. Like, that's pretty extreme. Like, I'm not terribly comfortable with the police just being able to come in and be like, we're going to take your firearms because of probable cause. But that is the case in a lot of other things where they go, well, we have probable cause to enter your home and search it, or probable cause to arrest you. And that's part of the balance of liberty and security. So let's fix guns, let's fix cars. No, let's fix people, help them be stable. A lot of people are firearm owners, never kill anyone. Certainly don't kill anybody for fun. This happens a lot, but I mean, how many, 200 million guns in the U.S.? You'd think a lot more people would be dying every day. But yeah, it sounds it sounds so nihilistic for me to say, like, well, people die from lots of things. Why not guns? It's not a lot of people dying. I know, but at some point you have to be realistic and not go, oh, you know what? I've had it. Just repeal the Second Amendment. All of the millions of guns owned by people in the U.S., that doesn't matter because of, horrible, terrible, tragic thing. So you can't give in to the frustration. You can't let them wear you down. You can't let them allow this type of speech to be normal. You can say it all you want to. People should gasp, and they should step back, and they should disassociate from gun-free world, period. That's un-American. Just is. All right, let's build better toys than mend men. What? That? Did you mean that? It's what? Better to... Sorry. I completely misread your entire thing. It's better to build boys than mend men. Absolutely. Just every boy should grow up to be a boy. That's what you mean by that, right? Build boys, not men?
No. Not what
I know what you mean. Who said that besides you?
It's actually a title of a book by Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A.
It's oh.
Maybe he's quoting somebody else with that title. I don't know.
Possible. But somebody look that up. Hey, give me a word of the day because we got to get out of here.
Oh boy.
Let me just cut you off in the middle of your important description of why you put that out there.
Yeah. Well, what it's saying is fixing the problems while people are younger. Like, there's a lot of people who are just not growing up and getting the things that they need while they're growing up. And it gets much harder to fix those problems later on when they're older. So, word of the day is... Oh. Sepulture. Let's pick our own word of the day. Anyone got a word of the day?
Just throw us a bunch of them, everybody. We'll do mass word of the day today, and then we'll head out.
Well, let's consult the thesaurus. Convalesce. How do you say that?
Convalesce.
Yes, got it right.
Isn't that like a place you put
Put what?
Well, that's not right.
Okay.
Convalescent home. Isn't that where you put old people? No.
I always
All
heard
right.
it was called nursing home, but
Yeah, but there's fancy words for it. All right. Convalesce. Let's hear it.
didn't we already do fubbing Batman?
We did.
Good word though.
Yeah. I think Amor. Oh, maybe not. I think Amor Pizza brought that up. So I think that's a callback to us doing that. Anyway, convalesce. Let's hear it.
Okay, convalesce to recover health and strength gradually after sickness or weakness. For instance, a patient began to convalesce. So, good word.
Yeah. Yeah, convalescent. I guess there you go. It's like a rehab.
So it's rehab for people to recover after being physically weak or sick, I guess. Would that make
Yeah, like
yeah,
rehab.
So let's. I know there's a lot of ranting in this episode, but we can each do our part and help our society to convalesce towards a healthier zeitgeist. The spirit of the times, that's what that word is.
Really?
Yeah, zeitgeist. Yeah, I think it's a German word. So I guess you got 2 words of the day tonight.
Zeitgeist. Good. Dang it.
So what did we learn?
We learned that frustration goes both ways. Sometimes you get frustrated and you want to repeal the Second Amendment. And other times you get frustrated and you.
Do you know where frustration comes from?
Fear. I don't know. I feel like that's the answer to things like that. Your anger comes from fear.
Unmet expectations.
Why won't everyone just agree with me? Why is this 9-year-old girl getting up and saying terribly unconstitutional, un-American things and everybody thinking it's a good idea? Stop, everyone. You're not meeting my expectations for Americans.
So, what else did we learn?
We learned that dinosaurs, even if they're small, are not really small, they still have big teeth. A small dinosaur is still a very big creature. We learned that. We learned that there's a difference between a DMZ and a DMV.
Demilitarized.
Yes, yes. North and South Korea are not meeting in a DMV. You know.
North and South agree.
Yes, North and South agree are meeting in a DMV in South Jersey.
Sounds like a very time-consuming process.
Oh, and most important thing we learned today is that the old-fashioned methods are the best, and you can catch the most mice with good old-fashioned wooden spring mousetraps. So I don't think Joe was here for that, but now he learned it. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming to the show tonight. Really appreciate all of your wonderful contributions down in the chat. It's always great to have you guys in there to help with the conversation because if you weren't there, my rant would have gone in circles, round in circles, and poor Joe would have had to deal with it. So, yes. So, yes, thank you specifically, Batman and Amor Pizza for disagreeing with me. That's what makes it a little more interesting. Nothing worse than a nice echo chamber. I'm in a basement, so it's really hard to get rid of all those down here, but... small side note, for those of you who, I'm sure all of you, tried to tune in Monday, I had equipment problems Monday, so I wasn't able to stream my music at midnight. It's linked in the chat below. I will be streaming tonight. I got my equipment problems sorted out, so hopefully I'll see you guys tonight at midnight Eastern on my old channel, and next week.
Oh, dang it. So annoying. There's a problem with the YouTube chat.